She posted a TikTok bragging, keeping his ring, dumping the man. Thousands of comments cheered her on. I stayed silent. When the pawn shop told her it was worthless, the internet laughed louder than she ever did. The first time I saw the video, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt quiet. It was a strange, cold kind of quiet, like the air gets right before a thunderstorm. My buddy Kevin sent it to me with no context, just a text that said, "Dude, you need to see this." I opened the link, and there she was. My fiancée, Jessica, or I guess my ex-fiancée now. The video was shot in her car, with her best friend Tiffany in the passenger seat. They were both holding champagne flutes. Jessica was hysterically laughing, flashing the engagement ring I had given her just 4 days earlier. It was a close-up shot, the stone catching the light perfectly. The text overlay on the TikTok was simple and brutal. Keeping his ring, dumping the man, #girlboss, #upgrade, #know your worth. Then she spoke to the camera, still laughing. "To new beginnings," she said, clinking her glass with Tiffany's. "And to this absolute rock of a severance package. Thanks for the down payment on my new life, babe." I scrolled down. The video had been up for 6 hours and was already going viral. Over 1 million views. The comment section was a tidal wave of support for her. "Yes, queen, get that bag. This is the energy I'm taking into 2025. He was punching above his weight anyway. Good for you. Men are temporary, diamonds are forever." I watched it 3 times. The woman I had asked to marry me, the woman I thought I was building a life with, had just liquidated our entire 4-year relationship for a handful of likes and a piece of jewelry. She hadn't even had the decency to tell me to my face. She told the entire internet instead. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't comment on the video. I just put my phone down, walked into my workshop, and stared at the half-finished table I was building for a client. The smell of sawdust and wood stain usually calms me down, but that day it did nothing. The quiet in my head was absolute. Let me give you some background. I'm not a complicated guy. I own a business making custom furniture. It's a good living, and I built it myself from nothing. Jessica and I had been together for 4 years. She moved into my house about 2 years ago. I thought we were happy. I thought we were on the same page. Turns out, we weren't even reading the same book. She was always obsessed with appearances, with what other people thought. Her social media was a carefully curated highlight reel of a life she wasn't really living. A life that, I now realized, I was paying for. Her job was some vague social media manager role that barely covered her car payments. I handled the mortgage, the bills, the vacations, the constant stream of packages that arrived at our door. I thought it was just part of being a team. The proposal was last week. I took her to a nice dinner, got down on one knee, the whole deal. The ring was something I had designed myself. A simple platinum band with 2 small, intricate carvings on the side, holding a 3-carat stone that looked for all the world like a flawless diamond. She cried. She said it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She said yes. For 4 days, she was the perfect, doting fiancée. She posted dozens of pictures of the ring, tagging me, talking about how she was the luckiest girl in the world. It was all a lie, a performance for her followers. The entire time she was planning this, I spent the rest of that day in a cold, methodical haze. I didn't break things. I didn't get drunk, I got organized. First, I went online to our joint bank account, the one I primarily funded, which she used for groceries that often looked a lot like designer shoes. There was less in there than there should have been. I transferred my half of the remaining balance to my personal account, and then closed it. Next, I logged into my credit card accounts. She was an authorized user on 2 of them. I looked at the recent activity. There were thousands of dollars in charges from the last 24 hours. A luxury hotel suite for the upcoming weekend, a shopping spree at a high-end department store, an expensive dinner with Tiffany the night before. She was celebrating her big move. I canceled both of her cards, effective immediately. Then I started packing. I didn't throw her things in trash bags. I used the half-dozen brand new suitcases she had bought with my card that afternoon. I packed every dress, every shoe, every bottle of overpriced face cream. I went through the house and collected every little trinket she had used to mark her territory. By the time I was done, the only evidence she had ever lived there was a stack of expensive luggage by the front door. The last thing I did was call a locksmith. For a few $100, every lock on my house was changed. As the locksmith was finishing up, I took a picture of her stacked luggage. Then I sent a text to a 24/7 moving service. I gave them my address and the address of Jessica's parents' house, 2 towns over. I finally sat down on my couch around midnight. The house was quiet. My house. I looked at her viral video one more time. The comments were still flooding in. I saved a copy of the video to my phone. Then I went to bed and slept like a rock. Update 1. The first contact came the next afternoon. It wasn't a call. It was a notification from my bank's fraud department. They were flagging a declined transaction for over $5,000 at a designer handbag store. Jessica was still on her celebratory shopping spree, unaware that her funding had been cut off. The bank representative asked if I had authorized the charge. I told them no, and to please freeze any further attempts. The real fireworks started about an hour later. A call from an unknown number. I answered and put it on speaker. It was Tiffany. She didn't even say hello. "What the hell did you do?" she screamed. "Jessica's card just got declined everywhere. We're stranded at the mall. She's having a meltdown." "Hello, Tiffany," I said. "I saw you in the video. You two looked like you were having a great time." There was a half-second of stunned silence. "That's not the point. Why did you cut her off? You're her fiancé." "No, I'm not," I replied. "She dumped me, remember? She announced it to 1 million people online. Did she think I was going to keep paying for her lifestyle after that? The man is gone, Tiffany. That means his money is gone too." I could hear Jessica wailing in the background. "This is insane. You're a monster. You can't just do this." "Actually, I can. Have a nice day." I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone rang again. This time, it was Jessica. Her voice was a mixture of fury and panic. "Turn my cards back on right now," she demanded. "No, you can't do this to me. You're trying to humiliate me." "You already handled that yourself," I said. "Your video was very effective. You got exactly what you wanted. Likes, attention, a whole army of strangers cheering you on. What you don't get is my money." "We are done, Jessica." "But my stuff? Where am I supposed to go?" "I would imagine you'd go home, to your parents' house. Your belongings should be arriving there shortly. I hired a moving service. They're very professional." The line went quiet. I could practically hear the gears grinding in her head as she processed what I had said. You packed my things?" she whispered. "Every last item. The house has been scrubbed clean of you. The locks have been changed. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Do not contact me again." I hung up and blocked both of their numbers. The next call, about 2 hours later, was from her mother. She tried to play the part of the calm, reasonable mediator. She told me Jessica was hysterical, that this was all a terrible misunderstanding, and that I was overreacting to a silly, childish prank. "A prank?" I asked. "Your daughter publicly ended our engagement, bragged about keeping a ring she believes is worth a fortune, and went on a shopping spree to celebrate. That's not a prank. That's a statement of intent." "She's just emotional," her mother insisted. "She didn't mean it. You know how she is with social media. You have to let her come home." "This is my home," I said, "and she is no longer welcome in it. A moving van is on its way to your address as we speak. I suggest you clear some space in her old bedroom." Her father got on the line then. He was less diplomatic. He started yelling about how I was being cruel, how I had no right to throw his daughter out on the street. "I didn't throw her on the street," I corrected him. "I sent her and all of her possessions directly to you. You're her parents. She's your responsibility now." "We'll sue you," he threatened. "For what?" I asked. "For changing the locks on my own house after your daughter publicly dumped me and bragged about robbing me? For canceling a credit card that was in my name? Please, go ahead. I have a copy of the video. I'm sure a judge would find it very interesting." He sputtered for a few more seconds and then hung up. The rest of the week was a predictable mess. Jessica tried to launch a smear campaign, of course. She posted a tearful new video, claiming that I was an abusive and controlling monster who had kicked her out for no reason after she had a moment of doubt about our engagement. It didn't work. Her first video was still up, and thousands of people had saved it. The comment sections of her new videos were flooded with people calling her out. Wait, weren't you just bragging about dumping him and keeping the ring? The timeline isn't adding up, sis. You didn't have a moment of doubt, you had a premeditated plan to cash out. Her attempt to play the victim had failed spectacularly. The internet, which had been her biggest cheerleader, was quickly becoming her harshest critic. She had built her entire identity on a foundation of likes and shares, and now that same foundation was crumbling beneath her feet. And the best part was, I hadn't had to say a single word. I just sat back and watched her self-destruct. Update 2. It's been a little over a month now. The dust has started to settle, but the fallout from Jessica's TikTok masterpiece has been more spectacular than I could have ever imagined. After her failed attempt to rebrand herself as a victim, Jessica went quiet for about a week. I heard through the grapevine that life at her parents' house was not the triumphant return she had hoped for. They were furious about the public embarrassment and the fact that she was now back in her old room, unemployed and with a mountain of new debt she had no way of paying. Her grand financial plan, her severance package, hinged on one thing: the ring. Throughout this whole ordeal, she had clung to that ring like a life raft. In her mind, it was her ticket to a new life. A six-figure payday that would solve all her problems. About 2 weeks ago, she apparently decided it was time to cash in. And in a move of unbelievable arrogance and stupidity, she decided to document it for her followers. She posted a new TikTok. This one was titled, "Securing the Bag, #boss babe, moving on." The video showed her getting all dressed up, doing her makeup, and talking to the camera about her plans. She was going to take the ring to a high-end jeweler in the city to get it officially appraised and then sell it. She talked about the things she was going to buy with the money: a new car, a down payment on a condo, a trip to Europe. She was practically giddy with excitement. The video ended with her walking into the jewelry store, smiling confidently at the camera. The video got a ton of views, mostly from people who were just waiting for the train wreck. They didn't have to wait long. About 3 hours later, a new video appeared. It was shot in her car again, but this time, she wasn't laughing. Her face was puffy and red, her makeup was smeared, and she was in the middle of a full-blown hysterical meltdown. The text on the video was simple: "He gave me a fake ring." She was sobbing, barely able to get the words out. She rambled about how the jeweler had taken one look at the ring, put it under a microscope, and told her the bad news. The setting was real platinum. The tiny accent stones on the band were real diamonds, but the massive, 3-carat center stone was not. It was moissanite. Now, for those who don't know, moissanite is a gemstone that is almost visually identical to a diamond. It's nearly as hard, and it has even more fire and brilliance. It's a beautiful stone. It is also worth about 1/10 of what a natural diamond of the same size and quality would cost. She was screeching into the camera. "He told me it was worth maybe $8,000. Not 100,000. 8. What am I supposed to do with $8,000? He tricked me. He humiliated me." The internet's reaction was immediate and merciless. The video of her meltdown went even more viral than her first one. It was brutal. "So you're mad that the thing you tried to steal from your fiancé wasn't as expensive as you thought?" This is the greatest self-own in the history of TikTok. Karma just hit her with a platinum-set moissanite. You didn't get tricked, honey. You got a lesson in character. Her original Dumping the Man video became a historical artifact. It was flooded with new comments, almost all of them laughing emojis and links to her crying video. She became a meme overnight. The moissanite mommy, the girl who fumbled the bag so hard she broke the handles. She deleted her account within 24 hours, but it was too late. The videos were everywhere. Her public square had become her public pillory. Final update: it's been about 6 months. The silence has been absolute. After her epic social media implosion, Jessica seems to have vanished from the face of the earth. I've heard a few things, though. Her parents, after the fresh wave of humiliation from the moissanite saga, finally gave her an ultimatum: get a real job and start acting like an adult, or get out. She's apparently working as a receptionist at a dental office now. A friend of a friend saw her there and said she looked miserable. Tiffany, the loyal sidekick, distanced herself completely after Jessica became a social media pariah. Apparently, she didn't want the stench of that failure rubbing off on her own influencer career. A few weeks after her meltdown video, after the dust had settled a bit, I got a long, rambling email from Jessica from a new account. It was a mess of contradictions. She was sorry, but I had embarrassed her. She had made a mistake, but I had tricked her. She loved me, but I had ruined her life. At the end, she asked one question. Why would you give me a fake ring? Was our whole relationship a lie? I thought about ignoring it, but I decided she deserved one final piece of clarity. I replied with a single attachment. It was a screenshot of the design notes I had given to the jeweler who made the ring. On it, I had written a paragraph explaining my choice. I wrote that my grandmother, a woman who had been happily married for 60 years, had a moissanite engagement ring. She always said that the value wasn't in the stone itself, but in the commitment it represented. She said that a real diamond was just compressed carbon, but real love was infinitely more precious and rare. I wrote that I wanted our marriage to be built on that same principle, on real value, not on perceived worth. I explained that I had planned to tell her this story and the story of the stone on our wedding day to show her that what we were building together was more important than any price tag. Underneath the screenshot, I wrote one final message. The ring wasn't fake, Jessica. It was a test. I wanted to build a life with a woman who would love it for the commitment it symbolized, not for its resale value. You failed. The ring wasn't the lie. You were. I blocked the email address immediately after sending it. I have no idea if she read it. I don't care. My revenge was never about humiliating her. I just gave her the rope, and she built her own gallows. She paraded her greed and entitlement in front of the whole world, thinking she'd be celebrated for it. And for a moment, she was. But the truth has a funny way of coming out. I still have the design for the ring. It's a good design. One day I'll have it made again. But I'll make sure the woman I give it to understands that the most valuable thing she's getting is the man, not the ring.